Afrobeats going global, it's really something else, isn't it? And right at the heart of it, you've got this name you keep hearing, Wizkid. I mean, he's everywhere these days, right?
Yeah.
Like those collabs with Drake and Beyonce, huge stadium shows selling out worldwide. It's got everyone asking, is he the king of Afrobeats, like some are calling him?
Right.
So we're diving into that today. We've got a ton of your requests for this one. Articles, think pieces, even some wild fan forum threads you guys dug up. Let's break it all down.
You know, it's funny, just by asking that question, King of Afrobeats.
Yeah.
It makes us define what success even is for music this rich and complex.
That's true. It's more than just a catchy beat.
Bro.
And Wizkid's own story, it kind of mirrors Afrobeat's rise, too. Like, this wasn't someone just dropped into an existing scene. We're talking grinding and Legos from, like, what age was it?
Really young.
11 years old, forming a band at his church. By the time Holla at Your Boy blew up in 2010, he was already on the come up.
And see, that timing, that's crucial because he's been there shaping the sound for over a decade, not just hopping on a trend.
You can see that purposefulness in everything he does. Even something like that photo shoot you sent, the one with him draped in Versace. Talk about looking every bit the king.
More than clothes, though. It's that Yoruba concept of Itutu, you know? That aura of coolness, that strength he just embodies. Presence.
And he's got it for sure, but Itutu alone doesn't get you to global #1, right? Enter One Dance, that Drake collab. You can't discuss Afrobeat's breakthrough without it. Massive. In 2016, everyone and their grandma was dancing to that song.
It's huge.
But it's interesting, though, because as important as One Dance was, it sparked some debate, too. Did it overshadow other artists in the genre? I even saw one source claiming the Grammys snubbed it for Song of the Year because Wizkid was on it.
Yeah, there were some theories about that.
Like, because he was Nigerian?
That was kind of the implication. Like, they weren't ready to hand that level of recognition to an Afrobeats artist, let alone a Nigerian one back then.
Wow. Makes you think. But even without that Grammy, you can't deny his impact beyond the charts, you know? Selling out the O2 Arena, having a day named after him in Minnesota, that's another level.
It's about representation. To see a Nigerian artist at that level, breaking barriers, it resonates so deeply.
Right. And it's not just those big stages either. Saw someone on a fan forum saying Siri even called Wizkid the best musician in Nigeria. Small thing, but it says a lot.
It shows how embedded he is in the culture, for sure. But it all comes back to our question, doesn't it? Is it enough to be called the king? The sources make some strong arguments for it.
They do. For one, his longevity, right? Over a decade of hits. Then you have the global collabs, bringing Afrobeats to a mainstream audience. It's hard to argue with that impact.
It really is. It's undeniable. But, and it's a big but, crowning one king ignores how incredibly diverse Afrobeats is.
Right. It's not just one sound. It's bigger than that.
Exactly. And are we overlooking the pioneers? What about King Sunny Ade? This guy was charting on Billboard decades ago, paving the way.
True, Afrobeats has this whole rich history most people in the West don't even know. We're just catching on to something that's been vibrant and evolving for years.
Exactly. And some writers are saying it's too soon to call anyone king anyway. Afrobeats is still evolving. There's room for a lot of greatest of all times, as they say.
It's not a competition, necessarily.
Right, and that's what I love about those Just Mania forums you found. Some of those threads are wild. People passionately arguing both sides.
Yeah.
Some fiercely defending Wizkid, others saying, no way. It's great.
Yeah, it's heated.
Which just shows how complex it is. And that's what's so interesting about this whole deep dive. We're not trying to declare a winner. It's about understanding what this debate reveals, right? How we define success, how we value artists, what that says about a genre so tied to cultural identity.
It's like we're trying to squeeze Afro beats into this Western mold, you know, the whole idea of musical royalty, without really getting its history, its nuance. But it does make you wonder, with all this king talk, what does it mean for where Afrobeats is going next? Like, as it keeps getting bigger worldwide, will it lose some of its variety? Or is this actually going to make space for even more diversity, more recognition for all the different styles and pioneers and everything? What do you think?
It's a good question, right? Because globally speaking, the music biz loves a formula. It finds something that works and then...
Always do it again.
Exactly. Replicate it.
Yeah.
But Afrobeats has always felt different. It's about that feeling, that energy, not fitting into some little box.
Right.
And that's why this whole king debate is fascinating. You know, hints at a hierarchy that might not even really exist in the same way within Afrobeats.
Right. And maybe instead of looking for one king, we should be celebrating all those voices, all the styles, everything that makes it so vibrant, don't you think?
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
Because it's that variety, that constant innovation, always something new bubbling up. That's what draws people in.
100%. It's that energy that makes you want to move. But it's the stories, too, those lived experiences in the music.
And that's why understanding the culture behind it matters. Because Afrobeats, it's not just a genre, it's reflecting a whole cultural moment, right? With roots in those West African sounds, those rhythms, but it's also been shaped by global stuff, hip-hop, reggae, R&B, this beautiful mix.
Oh, and don't forget the diaspora. Afrobeats isn't stuck in Nigeria or Ghana. It's all over the world now, adding even more to the mix.
That's a great point. And that exchange, that global back and forth, that's what makes me hopeful for Afrobeats. It can adapt, evolve, take in new influences, but it doesn't lose that core part of itself.
It's like a river, that flows, changes shape, but it's always a river.
I love that. And that constant flow, it makes it so exciting. You never know what's next, who's going to emerge, what new sounds we going to get.
And that's where you, the listeners, this is the fun part. It's not just sitting back and listening. It's being part of it, getting into the culture, figuring out what Afrobeats means to you.
What speaks to you, what gets you moving.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to explore. Go deeper than the stuff everybody knows. Challenge your own ideas about what music from Africa can be.
There's so much out there.
So much to discover.
And that brings us back to Wizkid, because love or hate, that King label, his influence globally is huge.
Yeah. He's both a result of this genre always changing, and he's a force pushing it forward, too.
It's wild.
It's a cool dynamic.
Yeah, totally. His career, the collaborations, his success globally, it's all part of that bigger Afrobeats story.
And the best part is, that story is still being written.
So thinking about where Afrobeats goes next, and this whole King thing, there's one last thought I had. Does putting a crown on anyone, even if it's just symbolic, does it actually kind of limit things? It's weird, right?
It is, yeah, because on the one hand, having Wizkid out there, global superstar, that opens doors, brings new listeners in, makes the whole pie bigger for everyone in Afrobeats.
Right, totally.
But there's that flip side.
Exactly. Like then everyone's trying to find the next Wizkid instead of saying, what's this artist's thing? Their own sound, their own story.
Yeah, you get stuck in that mold.
And that's where, honestly, listeners, you guys have the power. What you choose to listen to, that curiosity to go beyond the hits, that's what tells the industry what to do.
100%.
We're like voting with your ears,
I love that. Voting with your ears, yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling those algorithms, hey, this is what I want, this sound, this story, this artist, just by hitting play.
Exactly. The more variety you listen to, the more it's like, hey, there's a demand for different voices. That's how we keep Afrobeats from becoming one thing.
That's how it stays exciting.
It's like that line from one of the articles you sent, something like, Afrobeats is not a monolith.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all those different experiences, the sounds, everything.
It really is like a tapestry or something.
A kaleidoscope, always changing. That's what makes it so special.
So as we're wrapping up here, I'm curious, what really stuck with you from all this? What surprised you? What are you going to go listen to now? Hit us up on social media. We love to hear it.
Keep the conversation going. That's what it's all about.
Because really, this wasn't just a Wizkid thing or even just Afrobeats. It's about music, how it makes us think, how it connects us.
And how it pushes us to see more, hear more. That's a good journey to be on.